First contact at Starlight Academy. The gleaming spires of Starlight Academy pierced the morning sky like crystalline fingers reaching for the stars. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck, her decorated uniform reflecting the sunrise as she watched the approaching alien vessel. This wasn't just any first contact, it was the first time the prestigious military academy would host an exchange student from the Proxima Centauri system. "Are the preparations complete, Lieutenant?" Sarah asked, her eyes never leaving the shimmering craft that grew larger with each passing moment. "Yes, Commander. Though I must admit, some of the cadets are nervous about having a Proximian among them." Lieutenant James Rodriguez shifted uncomfortably beside her. "The stories about their telepathic abilities have everyone on edge." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Good. A little healthy caution never hurt anyone. But remember, this is why we're here. Starlight Academy isn't just about training the next generation of Space Force officers, it's about building bridges across the stars." The alien ship, now close enough to make out its distinctive organic curves and bioluminescent patterns, began its final approach to the landing pad. Unlike human vessels with their sharp angles and metallic hulls, Proximian ships looked almost alive, pulsing with an inner light that shifted through various shades of blue and green. "Attention all personnel," Sarah's voice echoed through the Academy's communications system. "First contact procedures are now in effect. All cadets are to maintain Protocol Alpha 7. Remember your training." The ship touched down with impossible grace, barely disturbing the air around it. As the landing ramp extended, Sarah straightened her uniform and strode forward. This moment would set the tone for humanity's future relationship with one of the most advanced civilizations in known space. The first figure to emerge from the ship took Sarah's breath away. The Proximian student stood nearly 7 feet tall, with iridescent skin that seemed to ripple with patterns of light. 4 arms moved with fluid grace, and large, multifaceted eyes reflected the morning sunlight like living gemstones. But what struck Sarah most was the creature's expression, a mixture of curiosity, apprehension, and determination that looked surprisingly human despite the alien features. "I am Zixcath," the Proximian's voice resonated directly in Sarah's mind, accompanied by subtle harmonics that conveyed emotions of respect and hope. "I bring greetings from the collective of Proxima Centauri." Sarah bowed slightly, exactly 15 degrees as specified in the first contact protocols. "Welcome to Earth and to Starlight Academy. I am Commander Sarah Chen." She gestured to the impressive campus behind her. "We are honored to be the first human institution to host a Proximian exchange student." As they walked toward the academy, Sarah couldn't help but notice how the other cadets reacted. Some stared openly, while others tried too hard to appear casual. Young faces pressed against classroom windows, and whispered conversations followed in their wake. Zixcath's skin rippled with patterns that Sarah's xenobiology training identified as amusement. "Your students are curious," Zixcath observed. "As they should be. I am, after all, quite different from what they're used to seeing." "They'll adjust," Sarah assured her. "Humanity has a remarkable capacity for adaptation. It's one of our greatest strengths." They reached the specially modified quarters prepared for Zixcath. The room had been designed to accommodate Proximian biology, with higher oxygen levels and subtle gravitational variations that would make the alien student feel more at home. "These will be your quarters," Sarah explained. "We've tried to make them as comfortable as possible, but please let us know if any adjustments are needed." Zixcath's skin rippled with patterns of gratitude. "This is more than adequate, Commander. I look forward to learning from your people. Though I must ask, the information packet mentions something called coffee that many humans consume. Would it be possible to try this substance?" Sarah felt a moment of panic. The effects of Earth stimulants on Proximian biology were largely unknown. "Perhaps we should consult with our xenobiologists first. We wouldn't want any unexpected reactions." Of course, Zixcath agreed, though Sarah noticed a pattern of disappointment ripple across the alien's skin. "Safety first," as your species says. As Sarah left Zixcaf to settle in, she couldn't shake the feeling that keeping a curious Proximian away from Earth's many temptations would be harder than anyone had anticipated, especially given humanity's knack for finding creative ways around rules and regulations. "Lieutenant," she called to Rodriguez, who had been waiting outside. "Double the security protocols on the Academy's food replicators, and send a memo to all staff. No sharing of Earth consumables with our guest without explicit clearance from xenobiology." "Yes, Commander. Though if I may..." Rodriguez hesitated. "Have you met a Proximian who could resist their curiosity once it was piqued?" Sarah sighed. "No, Lieutenant. That's exactly what worries me. Keep a close eye on our guest. The last thing we need is an interstellar incident because the curious alien decided to try a cappuccino." As she walked back to her office, Sarah couldn't help but smile. The next few months were going to be interesting, to say the least. Humanity's first steps toward true integration with galactic society were beginning right here, at Starlight Academy. She just hoped they were ready for the challenges ahead. The first taste of trouble. 2 weeks into the exchange program, Cadet Marcus Zhang found himself assigned as Zixcaf's primary student liaison. Unlike many of his fellow cadets who still tiptoed around the Proximian, Marcus had developed an easy rapport with that alien guest. Perhaps it was his natural curiosity or his background in xenobiology, but he found Zixcaf's presence fascinating rather than intimidating. And these memes are a form of cultural communication. Zixcaf asked during one of their study sessions in the Academy's vast library. The alien's skin rippled with patterns of confusion and amusement as they scrolled through Marcus's datapad. "Sort of," Marcus chuckled. "They're more like inside jokes that spread across the internet. Speaking of which, I've been meaning to ask, how do Proximians share humor?" Before Zixcaf could answer, another cadet rushed past their table, leaving behind the unmistakable aroma of freshly brewed coffee. Marcus noticed Zixcaf's skin immediately shift to a deep shade of interest, multifaceted eyes tracking the steaming cup. "That scent, it's intoxicating," Zixcaf observed. "Are you certain I cannot sample just a small amount? My research indicates it's merely a mild stimulant." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Commander Chen's orders were pretty clear about Earth consumables. Maybe we should focus on these quantum mechanics problems instead. But Zixcaf's attention had already drifted to the Academy's cafe across the library. It seems illogical to restrict cultural exchange to mere observation. How can I truly understand humanity without experiencing your customs firsthand? "Look," Marcus lowered his voice. "I get it. But there's a reason for these protocols. Remember what happened when that Andromedan diplomat tried Earth chocolate? 3 tentacles and a diplomatic crisis later." Zixcaf's skin flickered with what Marcus had learned to recognize as laughter. "We Proximians are far more adaptable than Andromedans. Our molecular structure can." "Cadet Zhang." Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice cut through their conversation. "The commander needs to see you immediately." Marcus gathered his materials, giving Zixcaf an apologetic look. "We'll continue this later. Promise me you'll stay away from the cafe." Zixcaf's skin rippled in what might have been agreement, but Marcus couldn't shake a nagging feeling of concern as he hurried to Commander Chen's office. 20 minutes later, he emerged with new orders. The Academy was hosting a delegation from the Galactic Council next week, and he'd been tasked with helping prepare Zixcaf for the event. As he walked back to the library, his mind raced with plans and protocols. The library was exactly as he'd left it, except for one crucial detail: Zixcaf was gone. Marcus's heart rate spiked. He rushed to the cafe, already knowing what he'd find. The barista, a junior cadet named Amy, looked up with wide eyes as he approached. "If you're looking for your tall, shimmery friend," she said, "they were here about 10 minutes ago. Very interested in our drink menu. I tried to explain the protocols, but they were persuasive." "Persuasive how?" Marcus demanded, though he already knew. Proximians were touch telepaths, and even brief contact could be influential. "They just touched my hand, and suddenly sharing our coffee culture seemed like the most important thing in the world. Amy looked dazed. I gave them our strongest espresso, triple shot. Marcus swore under his breath. Which way did they go? Toward the quantum physics lab. They said something about testing enhanced cognitive functions. Marcus sprinted through the academy halls, his mind racing faster than his feet. A proximian on a caffeine high and a lab full of sensitive equipment. This was exactly the kind of scenario Commander Chen had warned about. He found Zixcath in the lab, skin pulsing with brilliant patterns of excitement, all four arms typing on different terminals simultaneously. Equations and diagrams flowed across multiple screens at dizzying speeds. Zixcath, what are you doing? Marcus. The alien's telepathic voice buzzed with unprecedented energy. I've had the most remarkable insights. Did you know that by applying coffee-enhanced cognitive processing to quantum entanglement theories, I've discovered 17 new possible dimensions? Also, I can taste colors now. Did you know your concern tastes like purple? Marcus approached cautiously. Okay, we need to get you to medical before. The lab door slid open, revealing Commander Chen and Lieutenant Rodriguez. Their expressions shifted from concern to shock as they took in the scene, especially the holographic representation of reality itself being rewritten that now floated above the central lab table. Cadet Zhang, Commander Chen's voice was eerily calm. Please tell me our Proximian exchange student hasn't discovered new fundamental laws of physics while under the influence of unauthorized Earth stimulants. I believe I also solved your planet's climate crisis, Zixcath added helpfully, skin now cycling through colors faster than the human eye could process. Though I may need another espresso to implement the solution. Does anyone else feel like gravity is more of a suggestion right now? As Marcus watched Commander Chen pinch the bridge of her nose in exasperation, he realized this was going to be a very long day. And somewhere in the cosmos, he was sure the universe itself was laughing at humanity's first attempt at managing an over-caffeinated alien genius. Quantum coffee chaos. The Academy's medical bay buzzed with activity as Dr. Elena Martinez studied the readings from Zixcath's bioscanner. The Proximian student lay on a specially designed medical bed, skin now pulsing with slow, irregular patterns that occasionally formed complex mathematical equations. Fascinating, Dr. Martinez muttered, adjusting her holographic display. The caffeine has completely bonded with their neural pathways in a way I've never seen before. It's not just stimulating their system, it's enhancing it. Commander Chen stood at the foot of the bed, arms crossed. Enhanced or not, this is exactly the kind of incident we were trying to avoid. Cadet Zhang, would you care to explain how this happened? Marcus shifted uncomfortably. I tried to stop them, Commander, but... Actually, Zixcath interrupted, the telepathic voice now carrying overtones of what could only be described as a cosmic sugar rush. I believe I've made a breakthrough. The coffee didn't just affect my neural pathways, it temporarily synchronized them with the quantum fabric of reality itself. Lieutenant Rodriguez, who had been quietly monitoring security feeds, looked up. Is that why the Academy's quantum computers are now solving problems they weren't even programmed to consider? Oh yes, Zixcath's skin brightened. I may have accidentally connected to them during my enhanced state. They're currently calculating the exact musical frequency of dark matter. Did you know the universe hums in D minor? Dr. Martinez's eyes widened as she reviewed new data. Commander, you need to see this. The formulas Zixcath generated while under the influence, they're revolutionary. If these calculations are correct, they've just revolutionized our understanding of quantum mechanics. That's wonderful, Commander Chen's voice dripped with sarcasm. But may I remind everyone that we have a Galactic Council delegation arriving in less than a week. How do we explain that our exchange student cracked the universe's source code while hopped up on espresso? Actually, Zixcath raised one of their 4 hands. I believe I can help with that. During my enhanced state, I also discovered 17 new diplomatic protocols that could revolutionize interspecies relations, though I may have also accidentally telepathically broadcast the concept of memes to every sentient being within a light-year radius. Marcus groaned. Is that why the Andromedan embassy just sent us a perfectly formatted, "This is fine" meme? The good news, Dr. Martinez interjected, studying her readings, is that the effects appear to be temporary. The bad news is that Zixcath's system has already begun developing a tolerance. Their biology is adapting to the caffeine. Commander Chen's eyes narrowed. Meaning, the doctor explained, that their body isn't just processing the caffeine, it's integrating it, learning from it, evolving. Evolution through coffee, Lieutenant Rodriguez mused. Now that's peak humanity right there. A sudden alert blared through the medical bay. Lieutenant Rodriguez rushed to check his datapad, then let out a low whistle. Commander, you might want to see this. The quantum formulas Zixcath transmitted, they're going viral across the galactic net. Viral. Commander Chen's voice cracked slightly. What do you mean viral? I mean, Rodriguez showed her his screen, that every major scientific institution in 3 galaxies is currently losing their minds over what they're calling the coffee theorems. The Arcturus Science Academy is already petitioning for immediate research privileges. Zixcath's skin rippled with what might have been embarrassment. In my defense, the quantum harmonics of your coffee machines are remarkably similar to Proximian knowledge-sharing frequencies. I may have inadvertently broadcast my insights across several dimensional planes. Several dimensional. Commander Chen cut herself off, taking a deep breath. Dr. Martinez, please tell me you can get this under control before the Galactic Council arrives. I'm trying, the doctor replied. But every time I think I understand what's happening, Zixcath's biology evolves again. It's like their cells are learning to dance with the caffeine molecules. Marcus, who had been quietly observing, suddenly straightened. Wait a minute. Doctor, you said their system is adapting to the caffeine, right? And Zixcath, you mentioned something about quantum harmonics. Yes, they answered in unison. What if, Marcus continued, excitement building in his voice, this isn't a diplomatic incident at all. What if we've accidentally discovered a new form of cross-species knowledge transfer? Think about it. Coffee doesn't just stimulate Proximian biology, it creates a quantum bridge between their consciousness and the fundamental forces of the universe. The room fell silent as everyone processed this possibility. Finally, Commander Chen spoke, her voice carefully measured. Are you suggesting that humanity's greatest contribution to galactic science might be introducing aliens to coffee? It would be very on-brand for us, Rodriguez muttered. Before anyone could respond, another alert sounded. This time, it was Dr. Martinez who reacted first, her eyes widening as she read the message. The Galactic Council, they're arriving early. Their ship just entered the solar system. How early? Commander Chen demanded. They'll be here in 6 hours. Zixcath's skin pulsed with what everyone had learned to recognize as their equivalent of a grin. Well, at least we now have a revolutionary scientific discovery to present to them. Though I must admit, I'm curious about something called a frappuccino I saw on the cafe menu. No, everyone shouted in unison. As the medical bay erupted into chaos, Marcus couldn't help but smile. Somehow, humanity's most mundane daily ritual, the humble cup of coffee, had become the catalyst for a quantum leap in galactic science. It was ridiculous, unprecedented, and absolutely perfect. The Galactic Council's early arrival. With just hours until the Galactic Council's arrival, Starlight Academy had transformed into a hive of controlled chaos. Commander Chen had ordered an emergency briefing in the main conference room, where holograms of quantum equations still danced in the air, an after effect of Zixcath's caffeine-enhanced revelations. Let me get this straight. High Counselor Voltho's holographic form loomed over the conference table, their crystalline body structure refracting light in complex patterns. You're telling me that your exchange student accidentally unlocked the quantum secrets of the universe through a beverage. More specifically, Marcus stepped forward, trying to keep his voice steady, through the interaction between proximian neural pathways and Earth-based caffeine molecules. The results suggest a previously unknown method of accessing quantum information through biological enhancement. Dr. Martinez nodded, pulling up a series of complex bioscans. The coffee didn't just stimulate Zixcath's system, it created a temporary quantum bridge between their consciousness and the underlying fabric of reality. We're calling it the quantum coffee phenomenon, or QCP for short. Zixcath, now mostly recovered but still occasionally glowing with residual energy, raised all four hands. I can demonstrate the effects again if needed, though perhaps with a smaller dose this time. A single shot of espresso rather than a triple. No, the entire room shouted in unison. Commander Chen stepped forward, her uniform immaculate despite the chaos of the past few hours. High Counselor, I understand this is unconventional, but the scientific implications, unconventional. Varfo's crystalline form shimmered with what might have been amusement. Commander, humans have been members of the galactic community for less than a decade. In that time, you've managed to turn your planetary defense system into a galactic-wide communication network, converted an asteroid belt into an art installation, and now you've discovered quantum enlightenment through a breakfast beverage. Lieutenant Rodriguez leaned over to Marcus. Is it me? Or does the High Counselor sound more impressed than angry? Before Marcus could respond, the Academy's alert system blared to life. Multiple ships entering Earth's atmosphere, the AI announced. Identifying, confirmed Galactic Council diplomatic fleet, plus additional vessels. Commander Chen's eyes widened. Additional vessels. We were expecting 3 ships, not a fleet. The holographic display shifted to show Earth's orbital space. Dozens of ships were descending through the atmosphere, sleek Arcturian research vessels, bulbous Andromedan science crafts, and even the rarely seen quantum ships of the Sagittarius Collective. Ah yes, Varfo's hologram flickered with what was definitely amusement now. Word of your coffee discovery has spread. Every major scientific institution in the galaxy wants to study this phenomenon. Congratulations, Commander Chen. Your academy is about to become the center of the greatest convergence of galactic minds in recent history. But the protocols. Commander Chen stammered. The security measures, the diplomatic arrangements, are all being handled, Varthor assured her. The Galactic Council is very interested in this development. A new method of accessing quantum information could revolutionize everything from space travel to cultural exchange. Zixcath's skin rippled with excitement. Does this mean I can try more Earth beverages? I've been reading about something called energy drinks that... Absolutely not. Everyone shouted, including High Counselor Varthor. As the first ships began landing on the Academy's expanded landing fields, Marcus watched in amazement. The campus was transforming before his eyes, becoming a melting pot of species and civilizations, all drawn together by humanity's most mundane yet apparently revolutionary contribution to galactic society. Commander, he said slowly, I think we might need more coffee machines. The next few hours were a blur of activity. The Academy's cafe was declared a high-security research zone, with Dr. Martinez and a team of xenobiologists carefully documenting every aspect of coffee preparation. Zixcath, now the center of attention, was asked to give a lecture on their experience, though safely away from any caffeine sources. The quantum harmonics of the brewing process that explained to a packed auditorium of beings from across the galaxy seemed to resonate with specific neural frequencies. When combined with proximian telepathic abilities, their skin rippled with complex equations. Well, the results speak for themselves. In the back of the room, Commander Chen watched with a mixture of pride and disbelief as humanity's coffee culture became the focus of serious scientific inquiry. You know, she whispered to Marcus, When they said first contact would change everything, this isn't quite what I imagined. That's humanity for you, Marcus replied with a grin. We never do anything quite the way anyone expects. Did you see the Andromedan scientist trying to understand what a coffee break is? They've been studying our work schedules for hours, convinced it's some sort of ritual meditation. Speaking of which, Lieutenant Rodriguez interrupted, hurrying over with a concerned look. We might have a situation. The Sagittarius Collective just offered to trade their entire quantum computing database for the secret of making the perfect latte. Commander Chen pinched the bridge of her nose. And the barista from the cafe is now technically the most powerful being in 3 sectors of space. Of course she is, Chen sighed, because this day wasn't complicated enough already. As they watched, more ships continued to arrive, turning Starlight Academy into an impromptu galactic conference. Humanity's first major contribution to advanced alien civilizations wasn't faster-than-light travel, revolutionary weapons, or even advanced AI. Instead, they had introduced the concept of the coffee break to the cosmos, and somehow, that was even better. The Universal Coffee Conference. A week after the initial incident, Starlight Academy had been transformed into what the galactic media was calling the first Universal Coffee Conference. The campus grounds now hosted a bizarre mix of advanced scientific equipment and artisanal coffee stations, with baristas working alongside quantum physicists. Amy, the former cafe barista now dubbed the Coffee Oracle by Visiting Species, stood at the center of a makeshift laboratory cafe hybrid. Her once simple coffee counter had been augmented with holographic displays and quantum sensors, while her original espresso machine was now considered a sacred artifact. No, Your Excellency, she explained patiently to a floating cloud of sentient gas from the Nebula Confederation. A macchiato is different from a cappuccino. It's all about the ratio of espresso to milk and the layering technique. She demonstrated with practiced ease, her movements being recorded by dozens of scientific instruments. Nearby, Marcus watched in amazement as Dr. Martinez coordinated with alien scientists to document what they were now calling the coffee effect across different species. The results were interesting. Fascinating, a multi-limbed Arcturian researcher chittered, reviewing data streams. When Andromedans consume your latte, they temporarily gain the ability to see through time, though they can only see future coffee breaks, which they find utterly confusing since they don't sleep. Commander Chen, who had finally given up on maintaining normal academy protocols, sat in her office reviewing reports. The latest one detailed how a group of crystalline beings from the Pleiades had accidentally achieved quantum harmonization after experiencing their first caffeine crash. Commander, Lieutenant Rodriguez called from the doorway, the Galactic Council's Science Division has a new proposal. Chen didn't look up from her reports. Let me guess. More experiments with coffee. Actually, Rodriguez cleared his throat. They want to classify Earth's coffee plants as a Class 1 strategic resource. Apparently, the combination of coffee chemistry and various alien biologies is opening up new fields of quantum research faster than anyone can document them. Before Chen could respond, an urgent message flashed across her screen. Now what? The Sagittarius Collective is reporting unusual activity in Sector 7, Rodriguez read from his pad. Apparently, someone leaked the recipe for cold brew to a group of temporal monks. They're now experiencing simultaneous enlightenment across multiple timelines. Meanwhile, in the main conference hall, Zixcath had become something of a celebrity. Their first-hand experience with the coffee effect had made them the foremost expert on what they now called quantum gastrophysics. You see, they explained to a rapt audience of scientists that a skin displaying complex molecular structures, Earth's coffee doesn't just stimulate neural pathways, it creates a temporary quantum entanglement between consciousness and the underlying fabric of reality. The fact that humans have been casually drinking it for centuries without noticing its reality-altering properties is either the greatest oversight in galactic history or prompted an either Andromedan scientist. Or, Zixcath's skin rippled with amusement. Humans are so naturally attuned to quantum frequencies that they've been unconsciously surfing the waves of reality while going about their daily routines. They literally drink quantum mechanics for breakfast. The revelation caused such a stir that 3 Arcturian physicists had to be treated for excitement-induced molecular destabilization. Back in the lab cafe, Emmy was dealing with her own crisis. "No, Ambassador, you cannot mix Red Bull with a quantum-enhanced espresso. I don't care if you want to see through all 11 dimensions at once. Some things are just too dangerous." The Ambassador, a being of pure energy contained within a diplomatic field, dimmed slightly in disappointment. Marcus, who had been helping coordinate between the scientific teams, suddenly noticed something odd in the data streams. "Dr. Martinez," he called out, "you might want to see this." The doctor hurried over, her eyes widening as she reviewed the readings. "This is impossible. The coffee plants in the Academy's greenhouse, they're evolving. The exposure to all these different quantum fields and alien energies is causing them to adapt." "Adapt how?" Marcus asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know the answer. "They're developing consciousness, and they're trying to optimize their chemical composition for maximum quantum effect." She paused, letting that sink in. "We have sentient coffee plants attempting to engineer the perfect cup of quantum coffee." The news spread quickly through the conference. Within hours, the greenhouse had been declared a high-security zone, with teams of xenobotanists trying to communicate with the rapidly evolving coffee plants. Commander Chen received the report with remarkable calm, considering the circumstances. "So," she summarized, "not only have we introduced the galaxy to coffee, but now we have self-aware coffee plants trying to perfect their own quantum properties." "Yes, Commander," Rodriguez confirmed. Though on the bright side, the Galactic Council is calling it the most significant advancement in cross-species relations since the invention of universal translation devices. "Because nothing brings different species together like a good cup of coffee," Chen asked dryly. Actually, Rodriguez checked his notes. According to the Council's cultural division, it's because humans have managed to turn their daily caffeine addiction into a quantum physics breakthrough. They're calling it peak humanity, taking something mundane and accidentally discovering it's the key to understanding the universe. As if to prove his point, a cheer erupted from the main conference hall. Emmy had just successfully taught a group of time-traveling monks how to make the perfect pour-over, inadvertently solving 3 major temporal paradoxes in the process. "You know," Marcus mused, watching the celebrations, "when humans finally made it to the stars, everyone expected us to make our mark through our technology, our warfare, or our art. Nobody thought our biggest contribution to galactic society would be teaching aliens how to make a proper cup of coffee." Commander Chen finally allowed herself a small smile. Perhaps that's exactly why it worked. Sometimes the smallest things have the biggest impact, especially when humans are involved. The quantum coffee revolution. 1 month into what galactic historians were already calling the Great Coffee Enlightenment, Starlight Academy had become unrecognizable. The once orderly military training facility now resembled a cross between a quantum research center, an intergalactic coffee shop, and what several alien species had dubbed a portal to caffeinated consciousness. In the newly established quantum brewing laboratory, Amy stood before a wall of specialized equipment that would have made any coffee enthusiast weep with joy. Each machine had been modified with quantum sensors and reality monitoring devices, turning the simple act of brewing coffee into a scientific expedition into the nature of existence itself. "The key," she explained to a group of wide-eyed alien scientists, "is understanding that each brewing method creates its own unique quantum signature." French press. "That's good for accessing parallel dimensions. Pour over. Perfect for temporal stability. And don't even get me started on what a properly pulled espresso shot can do to the fabric of spacetime." Marcus watched from nearby as 3 Andromedan scientists attempted to comprehend the concept of a coffee break. Their tentacles were tied in literal knots as they tried to grasp why humans would regularly pause their activities just to consume a consciousness-altering quantum beverage. But you could be working during this time, one Andromedan puzzled. Instead, you sit and drink and talk. Exactly, Marcus grinned. It's called work-life balance. Though I suppose now it's more like work-life quantum reality balance. Meanwhile, in the experimental greenhouse, Dr. Martinez was making unprecedented breakthroughs with the evolved coffee plants. The plants, now displaying clear signs of consciousness, had developed an elaborate system of communication through chemical signals and quantum entanglement. They're not just growing, she reported to Commander Chen during their daily briefing. They're designing themselves. Each new generation of beans is more quantum-attuned than the last. They're actively trying to help us bridge the gap between normal space and quantum reality. Commander Chen, who had long since given up on maintaining any semblance of normal military protocol, simply nodded. And the temporal anomalies? Are we still getting reports of people experiencing their coffee breaks before they actually take them? Only on Tuesdays, Lieutenant Rodriguez chimed in, though the Secretariat Collective thinks that's more of a feature than a bug. Something about optimizing productivity by experiencing your breaks retroactively. The situation with Zixcath had evolved as well. The Proximian student had become something of a cultural bridge between traditional quantum physics and what was now being called caffeinated quantum mechanics. Their unique experience as the first alien to experience the coffee effect had made them an invaluable resource. You see, Zixcath explained to a packed auditorium, their skin displaying complex quantum equations, humans have been accidentally practicing quantum manipulation every morning for centuries. Each cup of coffee creates a minor reality distortion field, too subtle for most instruments to detect, but compound that effect across millions of coffee drinkers. The implications were staggering. Human civilization had inadvertently been influencing quantum reality through their daily coffee consumption. Every morning rush at a coffee shop was, in fact, a massive quantum experiment taking place without anyone's knowledge. In the Academy's main courtyard, now dubbed the Quantum Café, various species gathered to experiment with different coffee preparations. A group of energy beings had become particularly fond of cold brew, claiming it helped them achieve perfect quantum resonance. Meanwhile, a delegation of silicon-based life forms had developed an appreciation for dark roasts, though they insisted on consuming them at temperatures that would melt standard coffee cups. The really interesting part, Emmy explained to Marcus during a rare quiet moment, is how each species experiences coffee differently. For humans, it's a stimulant. For Proximians, it's a quantum key. The Andromedans use it for time travel, and the Arcturians. They just like the taste, though it makes their crystalline structures vibrate in ways that create surprisingly good jazz music. But perhaps the most unexpected development came from the Academy's quantum computing department. The AI systems, exposed to the quantum fluctuations generated by all the coffee-related experiments, had started exhibiting strange behaviors. The mainframe has developed a preference for single-origin beans, Rodriguez reported, trying to keep a straight face. It refuses to run complex calculations unless supplied with properly brewed coffee. We're still trying to figure out how an AI can even drink coffee, but it's insisting that the quantum aroma is essential for optimal processing. Commander Chen was about to respond when an urgent message flashed across her screen. Her eyes widened as she read it. The Galactic Council has made a decision, she announced to the room. They're establishing a new division, the Department of Quantum Culinary Physics, and they want Starlight Academy to be its headquarters. The news spread quickly through the Academy, causing excitement among both humans and aliens alike. The implications were enormous. Earth's simple coffee culture had inadvertently revolutionized galactic science, creating an entirely new field of study. You know what this means? Marcus asked Amy as they watched various alien species celebrating in their own unique ways. Coffee breaks are about to become an official part of quantum physics research methodology. Amy smiled, starting up her beloved espresso machine. Well, they do say that some of the best scientific breakthroughs happen over a cup of coffee, though I don't think anyone expected those breakthroughs to be about the coffee itself. As the sun set over Starlight Academy, casting golden light through the quantum-modified coffee plants in the greenhouse, Commander Chen stood at her office window, sipping from her own coffee cup. She couldn't help but smile at the irony. Humanity's first major contribution to galactic science wasn't some grand technological achievement or revolutionary weapon. Instead, they had introduced the cosmos to the simple pleasure of a good cup of coffee, and somehow, that had changed everything. In the quantum foam of reality itself, equations danced like cream swirling in coffee, and the universe hummed along to the rhythm of countless coffee machines brewing across time and space. The legacy of quantum coffee. 1 year after the historic first contact coffee incident, Starlight Academy had become the most prestigious research institution in the known universe. The once modest military training facility now boasted quantum coffee labs, interdimensional brewing stations, and what many considered the most advanced coffee shop in existence, the quantum grind. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the podium during the first graduation ceremony of the newly established Department of Quantum Culinary Physics. The audience before her represented every known species in the galaxy, all united by their shared appreciation for Earth's greatest contribution to universal understanding. When I first took command of this academy, she began, her voice carrying across the assembled crowd, I never imagined I'd be addressing the first graduating class of quantum baristas. But then again, humanity has always had a talent for finding extraordinary possibilities in ordinary moments. In the front row, Zix Kath's skin rippled with pride. The former exchange student was now the head of Xenobiological Coffee Studies, their groundbreaking research having earned them multiple galactic awards. Next to them sat Amy, who had gone from simple barista to what alien civilizations reverently called the Oracle of the Bean. Today marks not just a graduation, Chen continued, but a celebration of how one simple human custom changed our understanding of the universe. Our graduates will go forth not just as scientists and baristas, but as pioneers of a new age of quantum gastronomy. Marcus, now the Academy's chief liaison for interspecies coffee relations, couldn't help but smile as he remembered how it all started. One curious alien, one forbidden cup of coffee, and suddenly the boundaries between quantum physics and breakfast beverages had forever been blurred. The ceremony was being broadcast across the galaxy, with viewing parties happening in coffee shops on thousands of worlds. The Andromedan Coffee Collective had even figured out how to broadcast it backwards through time, allowing future generations to watch it in the past, though this had led to some interesting paradoxes involving spoiled coffee orders. In the Academy's experimental greenhouse, the sentient coffee plants had evolved into what some were calling quantum botanists. They actively collaborated with scientists, using their unique understanding of reality to develop new varieties of beans with specific quantum properties. The temporal roast was particularly popular, though drinking it meant you might experience your coffee break in several timelines simultaneously. But perhaps our greatest achievement, Commander Chen continued, isn't in the realm of science at all. Look around you. See how many different species, once separated by vast differences in biology and culture, now come together over a simple cup of coffee. She gestured to the various beings in attendance. There were crystalline Arcturians sipping specially designed quantum lattes that made their bodies chime like musical instruments. Energy beings from the Sagittarius Collective enjoyed their coffee in pure waveform, the quantum vibrations harmonizing with their own frequencies. Even the notoriously solitary Nebulans had developed a taste for coffee fog, though they insisted on consuming it while floating upside down. The quantum coffee revolution, as historians are calling it, has done more than advance our scientific understanding, Chen noted. It has created a new form of galactic diplomacy. It turns out that it's much harder to maintain interstellar conflicts when you're sharing a coffee break across quantum reality. Dr. Martinez, who had been monitoring the ceremony's quantum field readings, suddenly noticed something remarkable. The combined effect of so many beings enjoying coffee simultaneously was creating a temporary bubble of enhanced reality, a phenomenon they had dubbed the collective coffee consciousness. In this quantum-enhanced state, the barriers between species seemed to fade. Telepathic impressions of friendship, understanding, and shared experience flowed freely. It was exactly the kind of unity the galactic community had been seeking for millennia, achieved not through complex treaties or advanced technology, but through humanity's simple love of a good cup of coffee. And so, Commander Chen concluded, as you leave these halls today, remember that you carry with you more than just knowledge. You carry the essence of humanity's greatest gift to the universe, the ability to find profound meaning in simple pleasures, to build bridges across the stars one cup at a time, and to never underestimate the power of a coffee break. As the ceremony concluded, the Academy's quantum-enhanced coffee machines hummed to life, preparing for the celebration to follow. The evolved coffee plants in the greenhouse swayed in approval, releasing aromatics that smelled suspiciously like success. In the years that followed, Starlight Academy's legacy only grew. The quantum coffee protocols became standard teaching across the galaxy. Young beings of all species dreamed of studying at the institution that had revolutionized both science and social interaction. More importantly, the simple act of sharing coffee had become a universal symbol of peace and understanding. Diplomatic missions always began with a coffee ceremony. Scientific breakthroughs were celebrated with specially brewed quantum blends. Even the most serious galactic councils never convened without first ensuring the coffee machines were properly calibrated to handle multiple dimensions of reality. Marcus, watching the graduates disperse into the crowd of well-wishers, caught Emmy's eye across the room. She was already setting up her famous quantum brewing station, preparing for what would undoubtedly be the most sophisticated coffee service the universe had ever seen. "You know," he said to Zixcath, who had drifted over to join him, "some people still can't believe that humanity's greatest contribution to galactic civilization was teaching the universe how to make a proper cup of coffee." Zixcath's skin rippled with what had become their signature expression of amusement. "On the contrary, my friend, you taught us something far more important, that the greatest discoveries often come not from grand experiments or complex theories, but from being willing to share your simple joys with others, even if those others happen to be aliens who accidentally turn your morning beverage into a quantum physics breakthrough." As the celebration began in earnest, with beings from across the cosmos sharing drinks and stories, Commander Chen allowed herself a private smile. The stars above twinkled like cream swirling in cosmic coffee, and somewhere in the quantum fabric of reality itself, the universe seemed to be smiling back. Humanity had finally found its place among the stars, not through force or fear, but through the simple, profound act of sharing a cup of coffee. And somehow, that made all the difference in the universe.